Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Leadnap Gaming. Today we're taking a look at an awesome new survival game, Medieval Dynasty, but we're also looking at areas it's successful where Star Citizen hasn't been.
Systems activated. Systems on.
Originally, I had planned to really put the focus on Star Citizen in this critique and comparison, but Medieval Dynasty turned out to be such a great game so far that it deserved its own review of sorts. So after I do a review of that, I will be connecting some dots with Star Citizen, so stay tuned because after all, that's ultimately what I wanted to talk about. Medieval Dynasty is a Dark Ages survival game set effectively in Poland. Cool because I don't think a lot of people in the United States at least know a whole lot about the massive Polish kingdom of the time, nor how life was different there than say medieval France or England. Also cool because when playing, I get a sense of my ancestors who happen to be Polish. Your family is killed when an unnamed but Germanic tribe raids your homeland, and at 18 years old, you set out to find a valley your uncle had settled in apparently quite prosperously. When you arrive, you find out that you just missed his passing away, but you're informed that you can settle anywhere in the valley and prosper as you wish, so long as you pay your taxes. And, just like this Castilian promises your in-game character, you can. Hunt where you desire, build where you want, pursue whatever floats your boat. The 4 seasons are different from one another, forcing you to adapt what you do and how and when you do it. Winter is 3 seasons away from your start, but fail to prepare properly and it's going to be tough to survive. What takes this a step further is the dynasty concept. You must court a lady of your choosing and convince her to marry you. In doing so, you then produce an heir who will carry on after you pass. Fail to keep the missus happy, and she'll leave with your kid. Now, this could have been really cheesy and simple, but points to Toplitz Production because you actually have to work pretty hard to court a candidate bride, and depending on where you decided to settle, can make these trips to woo her intense and major time-consuming decisions. You get 3 days per season. Spending half a day traveling to a remote town to woo some girl takes a lot from your winter preparations. Yet, I found it strangely realistic because if I could find a way to make it work, I would. I took every opportunity to go see my girl if I could make it work. Once we got married, I was in for a rude shock. Thankfully, there are save games, because the first time she left me after the first day. Keeping her happy made even bigger changes to my routine. Eventually, your character will die, and you will assume your heir as player, continuing the trend as you build your single homestead into a city, or cities convincing people to come work for you, and so on. What is cool about this is, given my limited understanding of the clan system of medieval Poland, that seems pretty accurate, which may have a lot to do with the choice why it was set in a fictional Polish valley. Hunting is challenging but fun, the economy system is pretty effective, but importantly, you find out that a lot of the stuff that you would buy is stuff you can do yourself, which is pretty important and, to a degree, the point. If you enjoy the genre and are looking for something fun to do in single player, check it out. Medieval Dynasties is available for under $30 on Steam and has been a ton of fun to play. So what does any of that have to do with Star Citizen? Well, I would say it highlights the differences very well. And of course the obvious is, well, duh, lad, one set in medieval Poland and the other is thousands of years in the future. But stick with me while I lay out my case. Both games are in an alpha state. To be fair, one is an MMORPG dealing with countless back-end server constructions, so it would be unfair to point out that while playing Medieval Dynasties, you'll never experience a 30k. Yet, while playing, I had big opportunity to notice all the things missing from Star Citizen's alpha that were present in Medieval Dynasties. And while one is pitched as a survival game and the other swore not to be, it was impossible not to draw these conclusions. To begin with, Medieval Dynasties has managed to fill their world with content. There's a massive variety of flora and a large by comparison amount of fauna. While the valley on the map looks like a rather small amount of world to wander, on foot you quickly find out that the game world is quite massive. Sure, the verse might be bigger in units of measure, but there's no rewarding experience for wandering the vast expanse of Daymar or microtech surfaces. Frankly, once you've seen a snowy mountain range and a temperate region on the newest of CIG's planets, you've seen pretty much all the planet has to offer. Once you've gone into a cave on one planet, you've seen them all. Medieval Dynasties, on the other hand, gives you a very real sense of being lost in the forest, yet having landmarks and traveling to different areas. Kleischer could be anywhere on Daymar, and it wouldn't really make a difference. Every new day in Dynasties, you think to yourself, I should have put my hamlet here instead for various reasons. Which is a great segue into the next element. CIG has promised us territorial claims, habs of our own to call our own. Medieval Dynasties delivers that. Build almost anywhere, just not too close to an existing settlement. By the water? Go. Mountaintop? Go. Middle of where the wolves run wild? Sure. CIG is unveiling a new inventory system, which is pretty much like every other system currently used in most games. Dynasties already has it. Carry as much as you can via weight, and as you go over, you slow down and can't run. Eventually, you'll become so overburdened you can't move. CIG has introduced food and a degradation of nutrition effect for both food and hydration. Dynasties? Yep, that's the central pillar of gameplay. In Star Citizen, you eat because the icon annoys you, and eventually it gets so low you have problems if you're playing long enough that a 30k doesn't somehow reset at first. Dynasties, on the other hand, you're always thinking about how much food and water you have and how much to take. What takes place in Dynasties has struck the very thing CIG has clamored for all along. CIG wants to build a game that makes you think, do I have the right armor for that climate? Did I take enough supplies? And Dynasty has it, in spades. CIG is working hard to make this complex, perhaps confusing complexity with difficulty. Dynasties, on the other hand, rolls it out to you quite simply, yet it's very complex and forces much of your decision-making. Climate and body issues exist as well. Come winter, if you don't have the correct clothing, which is quite expensive mind you, your person will freeze to death. And I'm not talking eventually. No, fail to prepare and you are running outside for 5 minutes at a time to do something, then coming back in for 5 to warm up by the fire, all while your health and nutritional values plummet. To be fair, CIG has long stated that the survivalist elements of Star Citizen would be optional in nature, and that Star Citizen was not intended to be a survival game. Many have rightfully observed that. Star Citizen, however, is quickly taking on more and more survival elements. You now have to eat, you have to dress appropriately, and so on. I think this was really a folly on CIG at the beginning, and not so much now. The point in Star Citizen is to live your virtual life as a citizen in the verse, choosing what career path to pursue, life choices to make, and where to settle, and so on. That is a survival game. Sure, the difference is only that you're not placed on some mountaintop with a pocket knife and told to survive. Instead, you're placed in the most uninhabitable environment for humans with pocket change and told to make your way, and well, survive. One is very simple, fail to thrive and die. The other, fail to thrive and be poor, which in video games is effectively death. A critical difference here is that in Dynasties, you die, the game ends. Star Citizen, you just wake up in bed again. Not a flaw, just a critical difference, one that makes a big difference in how you play. There is even AI pathfinding, and some table standing. Every now and then in Dynasties, you'll see a collision issue, enough of one that every character interaction currently has a chat option to ask them to move. In other terms, if an NPC is messed up, you can ask them to fix themselves in the backside of the code. Sometimes you enter a hut to find that the inhabitants have all taken to levitation, and every now and then, someone stands up from a table and walks in place because a chair is in the way. Medieval Dynasties even has the most critical of goals that CIG has set out for: persistence. I'll go hunting in an area and see spears I threw a year ago still stuck in a tree or discarded after I lost them thrown. I can drop inventory items anywhere and come back seasons later and they've not moved. In fairness to CIG, this is apples and oranges, because this level of persistence only has to apply to my local machine and not be recorded on servers and displayed for thousands of other users to come. Yet what stands out the most in the comparison is the project management. Medieval Dynasties has been in development for a fraction of the time Star Citizen has been. Is the UI flashy? Not particularly. It matches games of a decade ago and might feel a little outdated. Mind you, Medieval Dynasties is being developed so it can run on consoles as well, so the control interface and interaction system are tied more limitedly than I would prefer. Still, the health bar system and HP rules are generic to most other games of this style. The build interface is simple and could be better maybe. The inventory system is used in hundreds of other games and lacks a touch of realism, but these features exist. CIG is always trying to reinvent the wheel. Video game inventory is refined at this point. There is 2 or 3 methods that work effectively in video games. CIG has spent almost a decade trying to pioneer a new way, only in year 8 to decide that they should probably just use the system everyone else does. The character DNA system is rolled out as some sort of cool, unique feature, but Guild Wars 2 has a better and more granular editor, and the DNA system is just a fancier looking version of what most other games already use, after CIG threw out the old, unique, and ineffective one. Both Medieval Dynasties and Star Citizen are alphas, yet one is playable and feels almost more like a beta. Playing Dynasties, you feel like release is just around the corner. It feels like just cleaning up some elements is all that's left, until you find out that they too have a roadmap, and have even more features they're going to add to make it even better. Like CIG, their roadmap only extends into the first quarter of next year. Unlike CIG, it appears that the game will then complete alpha and move on to beta testing. One developer chose to use existing systems and build their game. Character interaction in Dynasties is on the same level as Final Fantasy II or Dark Ages of Camelot. It could be fancier, sleeker looking, but that's lipstick on a pig. Character interaction in Star Citizen is sleek looking and smooth, even some voice acting and mocap, yet the interactions are super simple. Medieval Dynasties is going to Golden Corral and getting a plate jammed with the usual stuff, none of which is going to be photographed and proudly displayed on Instagram. Star Citizen, on the other hand, is that 5-star restaurant you wait a month to get a table in, and your frog leg is served on an extra large plate with an ornate decoration of a long French-worded sauce over the top and a thimble with your side dish inside. One looks great in a food magazine, one fills you up and leaves you satisfied. One developer took existing systems and built a game. Hour after hour drifts by as you play Medieval Dynasties just trying to do something simple like build a barn. Everything that is repetitive should be, and it doesn't feel like a grind. The other developer chose to focus on new technology that will one day change how games are designed and that will usher in a new gaming experience for players. After a few months in Star Citizen's alpha, everything is a pointless grind while we wait for the prophecy to come true. One alpha is engrossing. It pulls you in and it's 4 a.m. before you even notice how long you've been playing just to scrape the surface of the content. The other lacks game loops, but makes amazing screenshots, though to be fair, Medieval Dynasties looks pretty good. It isn't that CIG has done a bad job, but in year 8, it's become apparent that their strategy hasn't been a winner. They've proven time and time again they can re-engineer a feature like the UI or flight model. Different project managers could have chosen to just use existing tech and build a game with a plan to further develop those with better, sexier versions down the road. None of this means CIG won't finish Star Citizen. It doesn't mean they're failing or that they did anything wrong per se. Simply that as time passes, developers with smaller budgets but different traditional project management approaches are managing to effectively put out similar products that work better today. One is a medieval survival game and the other a futuristic space game. Yet both aim to have similar feature sets, persistence, player-built settlements, carve your empire out of nothing, and so on. One has managed in a fraction of time to achieve all these goals, while the other continues to flounder building the technology that will build the game someday. You could say the only thing missing from the Medieval Dynasties is a multiplayer element, but my understanding is there may eventually be a co-op mode. Let me know what you guys think. Did you like my introduction of a new game? Did you like this comparison? Let's talk about it in the comments. As always, don't forget to like this video, share with your friends, and subscribe if you've not. And I will catch you all next time.